Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to Wheeling Wine and Whiskey Podcast, episode 309. This is episode 309. This is Chris. I'll be your host tonight as I'm going to talk. That's what's going to happen tonight. We are in the throes of June. We have gotten successfully through Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody had a great time. I know a lot of people were wheeling and getting out and about and having fun, whether they were going out on the lakes and wakeboarding or surfing or enjoying any of the numerous trails that have been opened because the snow is melting. I know lots of people made it out to the Rubicon this year. Friends were enjoying some downtime at the springs. So that's super cool. Well, definitely Memorial Day is the official or unofficial or whatever you want to call it, kickoff to the summer season, and schools are getting out. I know Livermore, where I live here in Livermore, the high schools had their graduations last week. So school is out and summer is happening, which is cool. So with that, obviously, Jason, last time Jason and I were recorded and we're on the show together, we were we recorded down in Hollister Hills, and we had gone wine tasting. We had done some wheeling. We had done some educating and so forth and so on. But the follow-up to that, obviously, is the cleanup from the trip. And during the trip, I noticed a few things that needed to be addressed, and I'd like to bring those up with our listeners here. One of those was, you got to go through shit breaks. It just does. The lives we lead, the equipment we use gets used and abused. And, sometimes it's just accidental. Sometimes it's just wear and tear, whatever. But I mean, I noticed on my camper, the grab bar, that's a folding grab bar that helps me, pull myself up into the camper, especially when I have the trailer on there, and the trailer had some modifications, which I'll talk about. But when the trailer's attached, it's the step is not centered on the bumper. So it's harder for me to climb into the truck or the camper on the bed of the truck. So there's a grab bar that folds in. And I guess the camper's getting a little old now. It was built in 2014, so 9 years old at this point. No, that's not right. That's 11 years old. So some stuff's starting to show some use. It's the sun's a brutal enemy of things. It just wears shit out and makes it brittle. And plastic is definitely not immune. So the plastic brackets that attached to the camper got fatigued, and I grabbed it and they cracked. I heard them crack, and so they need to be replaced, and that's on my list of things to repair on the camper. I just actually, as I recorded this earlier today, the UPS showed up, the brown Santa, which is a little early to call him Santa, delivered the new replacement parts that I will install in my camper this weekend coming up, which will bring the camper up to 100%, well, almost 100%. The other thing that needs to be worked on is the keypad for the keyless lock that's on my camper door. The keypad, man, that thing, it's rvlocks.com. I love it. I really do. But I will say the real flaw with that setup is the keypad. It doesn't have really good durability. It just starts to flake off pretty good. I'm on my second keypad. I ordered a third one, which I'll install when it arrives. But love the keypad. Love not having to carry keys around with me and being able to get into the camper at night when I'm, I've been out partying or whatever, and just easy to get into without worrying about where are my keys. But that's the one thing that's a flaw with that setup, is it just doesn't take the sun or the weather very well. So that's going to be replaced also. And then, of course, when you go on trips, of course, you want to clean everything, empty it out, take all your dirty clothes out, of course, and clean out, dust it. You get all the dust out, vacuum it out, sweep it out, whatever, blow it out. One of the things I also did when I got back was, there's lots of cabinets, and I'm not going to say there's immense, endless storage in this thing. There's just not. You have to be really, particular about what you carry with you on these trips. And sometimes you get a little lazy, or we all get a little lazy. And we, finally at some point we want to dig through the cabinets and hog everything out and see what you got. And I did that when I got back from Hollister. I opened up the cabinet, especially my pantry. And, I kind of consider the camper as my bug out vehicle too. So I keep, some dehydrated food or freeze dried food. I keep, some mac and cheese, the Kraft mac and cheese everybody's familiar with. I keep some of that stuff in there, it lasts a long time. So just in case, you never know. So anyway, I pulled out all the little totes and bins out of the cabinets, and I started sorting through them, and I found some some Kraft mac and cheese boxes that were dated to expire in 2017. So yeah, no, those are gone. I threw those away. That's a little out of my comfort zone. So, but I also found a can of chunky soup that was expired in 2019, which I got rid of that. But everything else was within expiration dates, which was good. So I do carry some of those, I don't know what the brand is, but the freeze-dried camping food packs that, backpackers are familiar with, not Camp Chef. I don't remember, but those things last forever. And every once in a while, I keep 6 or 7 pouches of that stuff in the camper is not emergency food, but well, I guess it is emergency food, but this is just nice to have. It's a fallback. And I'll tell you what, those things you just add boiling water to the container, and you just let it soak for, 10 minutes or whatever. And it's usually a pretty good meal. I think, I've got, chicken Alfredo, and I think there's some sort of beef thing in there, and some breakfast scramble or whatever. So those things they never go bad, or they're dated for 2027. So I'm going to expire. So I'm going to, eat them or use them before 2027. But, that's a good way to survive if things get crazy, but, or if you're really hungry, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time preparing a meal. So anyway, that's the stuff I did when I got back from Hollister, and, good stuff there to keep the camper current, keep your consumables fresh, and make sure it's in good repair for the next trip, which, hopefully will be in a couple of weeks when, Jason and I head up to the mountains to go to the Adopt-A-Trail, which is off of, Highway 4, 7909, Corral Hollow Trail, and, Matley Loop Trails up there in the High Sierra above Arnold and Big Trees. Calaveras Big Trees. So, good times up there, and it's fun. It's hard work. We do expect snow, but I don't know, we've had some heat. So I'm sure on the shade side of the hill, like we always see, there'll still be some snow to contend with, but that's half the fun right there. So get to do some hard work, get to play with some friends, get to play in the snow a little bit. And, if you have a sense of accomplishment when we're done with the trail cleanup at the end of the day or end of the weekend. One of the other things I noticed when I was at Hollister was, not even at Hollister, but before going to Hollister, is the Jeep. I brought the Jeep down. So I did a couple of things on the Jeep. Obviously prior to getting there was fixing the gas tank and getting that all dialed in, which we talked about on a previous episode of the show. But, the other thing that I noticed is when I was under the hood is it's due for an oil change, and I'll be doing that shortly. It's also due for a smog check. That's a whole nother discussion. But the battery, I have a Sears branded Odyssey battery under the hood that's dated for 2014. When I bought it was 2014, so it's 11 years old now. I mean, it still cranks no problem, holds a great charge. But I get a little anxious when things are that old. I mean, Odyssey batteries are very well known in the industry as being super reliable and super durable. I don't seem to be having any issues with it. Every time I turn the key, the Jeep fires up. I do keep it on a trickle charger in the Jeep when, between trips, but even when I was in Hollister and I used the winch that's another deal. One of the things I did when I was in Hollister is I'd installed the new winch last year, I believe, and I never, ran the cable the synthetic line out all the way and re-wrapped it under tension. So that's one of the things I did when I was in Hollister. Andy Cardenas, one of my good friends, helped me with that process while I hooked up the winch to a heavy duty bollard there in Area 5 at Hollister and ran the cable, the wire, the rope out all the way, and well, not all the way, but most of the way, and then ran it back in, winding it tightly on the drum, which is what you're supposed to do before you put it under really hard loads, doing a recovery or whatever. So that was a nice thing to accomplish when I was down in Hollister with the Jeep. But also that's a good test for the battery, because it puts obviously that's the whole, the battery's your bucket of energy that, you drain it with the winch when you're pulling hard on it. You pull all your alternator can't supply all that power. So the battery is the reserve that the winch draws off of. So, but I had obviously I wasn't in a full-fledged recovery where I was stuck in mud or anything like that, or pulling a 10,000 pound rig out of whatever, but it did work the charging system and the battery system a little bit on the Jeep when I was winding the rope, which if you haven't done it, you really should do it. You should do it at least once a year, I would think. If you haven't done it, you should do it. You should run it out and clean your rope too. Make sure it's not full of silt and sand and mud, because that's the type of stuff that breaks down into fibers in your synthetic line. So yeah, my comments, I guess my question to the listeners with regards to my battery is, would you trust an 11-year-old battery that seems to be behaving properly, and it does everything I need it to do for, an off-road scenario? Say I'm on the Rubicon or on Fordyce or something like that. And would you trust that battery, or would you say, no, it's too old and I think you should replace it? Let me know. You can email me, Chris at wheelingwinewhiskey.com with your comments, or DM, us at the Instagram at Wheeling Wine Whiskey, or you can even call us at 408-800-5169 and leave your comments regarding that. But, and obviously it's a Sears battery, so you can't even get Sears batteries anymore because that's kind of gone the way of the dodo bird. But it's a Sears brand, what do you call it? Rebranded or whatever. It is an Odyssey battery that was sold by Sears with a Sears branding on it, Sears Gold or Platinum or whatever brand it was back in the day. And it served me well, and I don't seem to be having any issues with it. But again, should I be concerned about it being 11 years old, but seems to be behaving properly? So, give me your feedback on that. I'd like to hear from you. One of the last things I want to talk about in this short episode is, I've mentioned it numerous times to the listeners that I live here in Livermore, California, and, this is a great wine country here. And this past weekend, I took the opportunity, well, not the opportunity, but I had to. It's been a bit, but I'm a member of 2 different wine clubs here in town, and I needed to go to the wineries to pick up my shipments. And so I went out to the first one, which was Bent Creek, which is off of Grenville Road, out in beautiful countryside of Livermore, just a couple minutes outside of town, to make my pickup out there. And man, Bent Creek is just a great place. They have a great stable of wines. They've got, Zinfandels and Cabernet Sauvignons and Merlots and a Cab Franc and so forth. And, this is Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. I always like to talk these places up, and, the owners, I've spoken with them before, and they know who I am, and that every once in a while, Jason and I occasionally mention them on the show. But one of the things I want to say is, after that, so I did my pickup at Bent Creek, and then after that, I went across town to Page Mill, which is the other winery I'm a member at. And boy, I tell you, Page Mill is always it's a great treat. They have really good juice. And Dane and Deb, the owners, it's just such friendly people. Such a great venue. They have music occasionally, and just a great tasting room, and it's just a fun place. So, and it's not too far. It's right next to town. It's just a a mile or so from downtown, which is really convenient for, tourists and whatnot if you're visiting Livermore. But one of the things that occurred to me when I did my pickup there is, the lady that was giving me my delivery mentioned that the GPS, which is a blend, a Rhone style blend, mentioned that it's the 2022, or is it the 2021? Anyway, one of those 2 years just won double gold, and it's a blend. So it won double gold at the 2025 Uncorked wine event here in town, which just happened on May 31st, which was last weekend. And I didn't realize it was last weekend, or I would have made time to go to this event, because it was held at Wente Vineyard, not Wente. It was held at Myriad as well, which is owned by Wente. And they had all these different wineries there showing off their wares, their product and wines. And of course, everything was being judged. And I'm looking at this list of winners, and just a massive number of fantastic wines that are made right here in Livermore, won some great awards. But one of the, obviously I'm kind of focusing on Page Mill, but Page Mill, their GPS, which is a Rhone style blend of their Grenache, their Syrah, and their Petit Syrah, Grenache, GPS, Petit Syrah, and Syrah. It's super great, delicious wine, great price point. I believe it's about $40 a bottle. I think it's $38 a bottle, but really great flavor profile. The fact that it won double gold does not surprise me. I was so happy with it, with them winning, that I decided to open one of their bottles of GPS this weekend, and I've been enjoying that bottle. It's super good. And if you do decide to make the trip to, or if you're in the area to go to Livermore and do some wine tasting, I highly recommend going to Page Mill Winery and trying their GPS, which is a double gold winner. They also had their 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon won gold. So they definitely have some great wine, and you won't be disappointed if you make the trip to Livermore to taste and hopefully buy some of their products. They also, what's super cool about their winery too is they've got these wine bottle toppers that are I think made of pewter, and there's all sorts of different designs. They got like sharks and turtles and so forth that you can buy. That basically once you open the bottle up, you put it on there. It's a pourer, and they're kind of a nice conversation piece. So. I think, Lorenzo, the donkey is one of them. It's an ass, but, anyway, yeah. So super cool stuff going on. I know that, Jason's always out and about. I'm always out and about, work is keeping us busy. Jason and I are both, running around like crazy, trying to get our summer started and summer plans, getting them all firmed up. But, there's always something going on. And, we want to hear from our listeners. And as always, you can reach out to Jason and I, and the best ways to do it is to email us. And that's Chris@wheelingwineandwhiskey.com or Jason@wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. A great way to leave, you can leave a voicemail at 408-800-5169, and we'll play it on the air in a future episode. You can also, check out our website at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com, where you can see all of our past episodes and links to our merch. And remember, we mentioned the merch store has been upgraded and improved. A couple episodes ago, we brought that to your attention. And then not lastly, but one of the other things I want to mention is don't forget about irate4x4.com, which is a great location to go to enter into discussions about vehicle builds and so forth. You can also go to Watch, Listen, and Discuss, which is a great place to see and discuss our past episodes, see all of our past episodes, listen to our past episodes, discuss our past episodes. And if you look on the right side of the screen, there's a way to support the show directly through PayPal, which is not required, but absolutely appreciated if you do it. And don't forget that this episode is brought to you by Rubitracks. Check out their website at rubitracks.com and check out all their cool products that are great for getting way out there. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. And in the next episode, Jason and Chris will get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Until then, we're out.